The morning was quiet, too quiet, as if the house itself knew something was about to break. I had just poured my first coffee, savoring the calm, when the front door slammed open. My father stormed in, manila folder clutched like a weapon. He didn't even knock. "We need to talk about what you owe us," he barked, voice sharp enough to cut glass. I froze. The folder hit the glass dining table with a sickening thunk, sending a reverberation that echoed through the room. My mother and sister flanked him, their faces masks of polite calculation. There was no warmth here, no concern. Only numbers. That I looked at the folder, then back at him, blinking. This wasn't a conversation about family, it was an accounting audit. And somehow I had just become the line item. "Drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from," I said, forcing my voice steady, reaching for the camera in the corner of the room. "Because what you're about to see, it made me physically sick." Father slammed the folder open, and the smell of paper and stale coffee filled the room. Inside were rows of numbers and itemized costs. Diapers, formula, prorated mortgage contributions, and, most jarring, emotional labor and parenting time calculated at $20 an hour. My stomach twisted as I scanned the total due at the bottom. $500,000. Plus interest. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't even flinch. Instead, I reached for my phone and deleted their access from the smart home app. Beep. The sound echoed like a gavel striking. Digital confirmation that once they walked out, they were never getting back in. It was my first real power move of the day. "This isn't your daughter speaking," my father said, almost proudly. "This is an investment speaking. The asset has matured. Time to pay dividends." I swallowed the bile rising in my throat. He compared me to Karen, my younger cousin, as if we were two stock portfolios, one failed, one successful. "See, Caitlin," he said, eyes gleaming. "You were always the better hedge. Now it's time to cash out." The language was deliberate. Business terms applied to the most personal of relationships. They weren't ashamed. They felt entitled. And that entitlement burned hotter than any anger I could summon. My mother's voice broke in, dry, theatrical, fake tears wetting her cheeks. "Why are you so greedy?" she accused, gaslighting me as if my refusal to pay made me the villain. Classic inversion, where the victim always carries the guilt. And then there was my sister, Karen, stepping closer, sneering, inspecting my belongings as if she were auditing a failing business unit. "You used Mom's credit card when you were 16, she reminded me. "So technically you owe us. And now we're taking 50% of your equity. Or we sue you for everything." Took a breath. And then a single word cut through the tension like a scalpel. No. Purple rage spread across my father's face, the shade I hadn't seen since I was a teenager, and I repeated it. "No. I'm not paying you a dime. Get out of my house." The room held its breath, caught between disbelief and fury. And in that silence, I realized the most important truth. I wasn't a daughter to them. I was a portfolio. I wasn't a family member. I was a transaction. But for the first time, the transaction was over. I had drawn the line. The digital locks, the single word, the calm in my voice. They were small, yet seismic. And as they stormed out, muttering threats and legal jargon, I knew something had shifted forever. IT was my first real victory. And the internet needed to see it. The moment the door closed behind them, I exhaled, but the silence was brief. My mother's mask slipped first, that polite veneer evaporating like steam. "We tried to be nice," she hissed, eyes narrowing. "Now we do it the hard way." Venom replaced civility, and the threat became explicit. I realized then that this wasn't just about money, it was a test. A reminder of the leverage they thought they held. I looked around my loft, and something shifted inside me. Steel beams crisscrossed the ceiling. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the city skyline like a living painting, and my business awards glinted on the bookshelf. These weren't just decorations. They were tangible markers of everything I'd built without their help. I wasn't 16 anymore. I wasn't powerless. I was the architect of my own life. They were just trespassing on property they couldn't afford. 6 years of silence had shaped me into this moment. For half a decade, I had been invisible, ignored, dismissed, and strategically written out of the family narrative. My absence was punishment, my presence unacknowledged. While Karen basked in attention, every social media post a spotlight, every failed lifestyle brand launch funded by Dad's retirement savings, I existed quietly, paying off my student loans, mastering supply chain logistics, and learning the hum of life in the background. I was reliable, competent, and unnoticed. The perfect scapegoat. Karen, meanwhile, was the golden child, rewarded for mediocrity, paraded for applause, celebrated for trying her best at community college while chasing TikTok dances and fleeting clout. Pink Pilates mats and iced coffee brands. Every new car or small gift came with an audience cheering her every misstep. She had visibility but no substance. I had substance but no recognition. The golden child and the scapegoat dynamic was so familiar, yet it never ceased to sting. Anonymity had become my shield and strategy. I built a 7-figure brand without them ever knowing. Every time I imagined them glimpsing my success, I anticipated extraction attempts, jealousy, and entitlement. I prepared for it. And, as predicted, the moment of confrontation arrived. When Karen confronted me in the Forbes 30 Under 30 announcement livestream, her entitlement was palpable. "That should have been me, Caitlin," she spat. "I'm the creative one. You stole my aesthetic. You stole my whole vibe." I took a measured breath. My brand, industrial home decor, stood in stark contrast to her bubblegum-colored, trend-chasing attempts. "We aren't even in the same galaxy," I said, voice calm, letting reality land like a hammer. Then came my father's accusation framework, predictable as ever. "You did this behind our backs," he said. "You used family resources, our time, our roof. You built this fortune through deception. Make it right." I responded with the philosophy I'd internalized over 6 years of being unseen. "I don't owe you a future. And I definitely don't owe you a past." The standoff escalated when they tried to enter my apartment a second time. I opened the door, cold wind rushing past me, chilling the polished interior. "Leave," I said, my voice steady. They refused. I reminded them that breaking and entering was documented. Cameras captured every inch, every step. "Not with your blood pressure, Dad," I added, a sardonic reminder of the consequences. And then my mother closed the final psychological circle, inches from my face, perfume sharp, desperation sharper. "You forget who taught you how to fight," she whispered. Her false civility inverted itself, leaving an ominous promise. "Strangers sue." For a moment, I felt the weight of the years, of the neglect, of the invisible child I had once been. But then I remembered. This same mother had inadvertently taught me every skill I now use to protect myself. Every calculated move, every unseen effort, every silent strategy. It had forged me into someone untouchable. They left, but the lesson remained. Sometimes the people who claim to prepare you for the world are the ones you must guard yourself against. And viral or not, the story of the toxic parent who takes credit for your resilience while being the source of your trauma was something everyone needed to see. The door clicked shut behind them, the smart lock engaging with a soft beep. My loft felt smaller somehow, though it was the same steel and glass fortress I had built around myself. "Sealing my sanctuary," I muttered, but the words were hollow. I didn't feel safe. I felt the vibration of an approaching train, a storm gathering outside the thin barrier of glass. They weren't gone. They were just regrouping. Sleep was impossible. I hovered over my servers, auditing, scanning logs, checking for breaches. Every ping and alert made my stomach knot tighter. Waiting for the other shoe to drop, I whispered to myself, knowing exactly how calculated this family could be. Every detail mattered. Every second counted. 3 days until the biggest launch of the year, and the timing couldn't have been more perfect or more dangerous. My new product line, modular steel shelving, sat ready in inventory, ads queued and emails drafted. Black Friday was about to hit, and everything was perfectly aligned. I had everything, and they knew it. Friday morning came with a single sharp blow. A routine task. Approving the final payment to the manufacturer. My finger hovered over the screen. Access denied. Frozen. Account status. Frozen. Code 44B. The bank representative's calm voice barely registered. Court order received this morning. Lawsuit claims promissory estoppel and unjust enrichment. IRS flagged potential asset concealment. All accounts locked. They didn't just sue me. They nuked me. Months of planning executed in seconds. My business wasn't just at risk. It was already in the death spiral. Can't pay the manufacturer by Monday equals inventory lost. Can't fund ads equals launch fails. Launch fails equals insolvency. In less than 48 hours, the life I'd built could vanish. And they knew it. Every step, every freeze, perfectly choreographed. Then Karen appeared, perfectly lit, camera angle flawless, her voice breaking just enough to seem authentic. The truth about my sister, the Instagram title read. Someone you love steals your ideas and cuts you out. We just want her to come home. We just want our family back. The mob followed quickly. Comments flooded in, sympathy for Karen, outrage at the cold corporate sister who abandoned her family. The weaponization of social media was as brutal as the financial hit itself. Public opinion stacked against me. My reputation shredded in real time. I sank to the floor, chest tightening, unable to breathe. The sea of red notifications, declined transactions, and frozen accounts felt like drowning. Everything evaporated in that instant. Business, life, freedom. All because Andrew and Bella decided to pull the plug. Then came the voicemail. My mother's voice, trembling, fake sobs punctuating each word. I'm so sorry it came to this, she began, that false concern that had haunted my childhood. We can fix it, just sign the agreement. Give Karen her share. We can call the lawyers off today. Please. Don't make us destroy you. Emotional blackmail distilled into a single, sharp threat. The crisis they created became my emergency to solve. Every manipulation tactic I had learned over years, the gaslighting, the faux sympathy, the moral pressure, was applied at once. But I didn't react. Not yet. I let the words hang in the air, felt the weight of every redirection, every attack, every threat. The storm had arrived. And now it was time to respond. The fear died that morning, not with a scream or a sob, but quietly, in the sterile hum of my loft. In its place grew something colder, sharper. Clarity. They weren't family. They were terrorists. And like any rational operator, I didn't negotiate with terrorists. I picked up the phone. Miles answered on the second ring. Emergency contact. Worst case scenario. My parents just froze my assets 3 days before Black Friday, I said, voice measured but lethal in its precision. Do you want to settle? He asked. No, I said. I want to bury them. Be at my office in 20 minutes, he replied. Bring everything. The office was a fortress of glass and steel, cold enough to preserve anger on ice. There was no room for emotional processing, only strategic planning. Over the next 48 hours we became a surgical team. Forensic accountants dissecting every transaction, black coffee fueling every decision, Miles offering no comfort, only ammunition. By the time the emergency hearing rolled around, we weren't merely defending. We were carrying a nuclear warhead. Caitlin's arsenal was more than spreadsheets and server logs. It was the culmination of years of calculated invisibility, every unpaid student loan, every invisible hour of supply chain mastery, every painstaking business move built without their knowledge. Now it would be deployed. The courtroom smelled of floor wax and old paper. Sterile lights bounced off polished surfaces as the parents entered, a picture of geriatric fragility. Bella dabbed her eyes with a handkerchief. Andrew hunched in an oversized suit, and Karen glared from behind like a petulant shadow. On the surface they looked small, harmless. They weren't. The first 20 minutes seemed to go in their favor. Their lawyer, a slick, expensive predator, spoke by the syllable. Plaintiff's narrative. Loving parents who sacrificed their own retirement. A verbal agreement. She stole our life savings to build her empire. Emotional language dripped from every word, framing them as victims teetering on the edge of destitution. The judge, a stern woman with glasses perched on her nose, absorbed the arguments. At first, her tone reprimanded, impressed by the spreadsheet detail. Incredibly detailed. Suggests a clear expectation of repayment. Familial ingratitude might not be a crime, she said, but breach of contract could be. Her initial ruling tendency. Uphold the asset freeze until a full trial. The courtroom felt suffocating. Then came the smirk. Andrew wasn't watching the judge. He was watching me. Tiny, triumphant twitch of the lip. He believed his spreadsheet, his narrative, was a weapon. Reality, I realized, was different. That smugness, the arrogance born of entitlement, was his noose. And in that moment, I understood the operational principle that had guided me. Terror thrives on assumption, on fear. Take fear away. Replace it with preparation, precision, and strategy. Every digital log, every financial record, every invisible hour of effort became ammunition in a theater where they believed themselves to be the stars. For the first time, I felt truly untouchable. I had transformed panic into purpose, violation into action, and threat into an operational advantage. The family who had tried to destroy me with their greed and entitlement had stepped into a trap they didn't even see coming. And Miles, cold-eyed across the table, simply nodded. No cheer, no celebration, just acknowledgement. The weapon was forged, and now it was time to deploy it. Miles stepped forward, calm and deliberate. He didn't shout, he didn't pace. Instead, he picked up a single sheet of paper, voice cutting through the room like a scalpel. "We are not disputing the existence of the expenses," he said, measured, surgical. "In fact, we are grateful the plaintiff was so thorough." Every eye in the room followed the piece of paper like a key turning in a lock. Then came the trap. By submitting this document, Mr. Anderson has solved a different mystery entirely. The first bomb hit immediately. If the $500,000 had been a business loan or payment for services rendered, it was taxable income. Cross-referencing 2 decades of tax returns revealed a stunning truth. Andrew had never declared a cent. The second bomb detonated moments later. A forensic audit of the family business unveiled the source of Karen's extravagant lifestyle. Not savings. Not inheritance. Andrew had been systematically embezzling from his own employees' pension fund to cover personal debts. The lawsuit. Simply a way to fill the gap before the IRS uncovered the fraud. The abuser's own meticulous documentation of my debt became undeniable evidence of his crimes. Miles' voice rang out in the courtroom, calm and incisive. "This is the irony of greed," he said. "It makes you meticulous about what you are owed, but blind to what you owe others." Mr. Anderson used the law to try and rob his daughter. He forgot one thing: the law works both ways. Every line item Andrew had proudly compiled now served as a notarized confession of tax fraud and embezzlement. He had intended to prove himself a businessman. Instead, he proved himself a corrupt one. Miles' monologue delivered the devastating question that hung over the courtroom like a guillotine. "You wanted to audit your daughter? Congratulations. You just audited yourself." The atmosphere shifted instantly. The air left the room. The judge, initially stern and impartial, scanned the evidence with a new expression, sympathy turning to disgust. Tax returns, spreadsheets, and bank statements were reviewed with painstaking attention. Andrew's face drained of color, pale and slack, mouth opening and closing like a fish on a dock. He couldn't speak, couldn't answer, couldn't recover. Bella's theatrics faltered, sobbing replaced by pure, raw fear. Karen froze, staring at the floor in shock. The world they thought they controlled crumbled before them. The gavel came down, ice in the judge's voice directed solely at Andrew. "Is this accurate?" The silence was deafening. Andrew could not answer. Case dismissed with prejudice. IRS referral for full criminal investigation. "I suggest you find a defense attorney. A real one." Andrew slumped, utterly defeated. Bella's sobs were raw and ugly, the sound of someone realizing their constructed world was collapsing. Karen remained frozen, silent, staring at the floor. I didn't smile. I didn't feel triumphant. I just felt done. Then I cut through the murmurs. "Wait." The courtroom leaned forward as I produced a thick envelope. The final blow. The eviction notice. Andrew's confusion was palpable. "We own our house," he stammered correction. "You did. 3 months ago, foreclosure due to non-payment. I had purchased the debt through a holding company. 90 days without payment, exercising my legal right to take possession. The sheriff was serving the notice right now. 24 hours to vacate." Bella lunged, desperate, accusing. "You can't do this. It's Karen's birthday. How could you be so cruel?" I looked at them, calm, precise. "You tried to bankrupt me. You tried to destroy my life because you felt entitled to my success. Now you know what it feels like to lose everything." Silence. Complete, absolute silence. And for the first time I felt it. Justice. Not vindictive. Not gloating. Done. I turned, shoulders straight, and walked out. Miles at my side, silent, steady. Behind me, Bella's wails and Andrew's shouts faded, distorted, distant. Like noise from another life. The moment I hit the parking lot, Andrew burst through the courthouse doors. Purple with rage, fists clenched, lungs screaming. "You ungrateful little witch. I'll kill you." My body tensed, ready to fight or flee. Every instinct screaming danger. Then Karen revealed her true colors. The golden child abandoned ship. She didn't help her father. Didn't try to stop him. She ran straight to the car, the last asset she had, jumped in the driver's seat, locked the doors and gunned the engine. Bella screamed, "Karen! Wait, where are you going?" But Karen didn't look back, peeling out of the parking lot, leaving her parents stranded. Their screams swallowed by the roar of the tires. I watched, cold realization settling in. They had created a monster, and now it was devouring them. The golden child had abandoned the sinking ship, leaving the captains to drown. I slid into my own car, started the engine, and didn't look back. Driving straight to the office, the city glowing through floor-to-ceiling windows, I sat at my desk. Pulling up my contact list, I tapped. Dad. Karen. Delete. 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 My chest felt lighter with every name erased. A symbolic purge of the past. The dashboard confirmed it. The freeze was lifted. Black Friday orders poured in, numbers climbing. A testament to the work I had built with my own hands. I wasn't just a survivor anymore. I was the architect of my own reality. Parents facing federal charges, homeless, childless. They had tried to steal my destiny. Instead, all they had done was free me from theirs. And to anyone watching, if you've ever had to build yourself from scratch because the people who were supposed to help you tried to tear you down, share this story. Let them know we're still standing. Finally, thank you so much for watching. Please leave your feedback in the comments and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next story.